Women who are in a relationship with someone who wasn't interested in you at first. What's your story? We had mutual friends in high school and I always had a crush on him, but I was struggling with depression and was overweight, so he wasn't interested. He never knew I liked him. Then a few years later I took time to sort out my mental and physical health, which he noticed and reached out. We've been dating for 5 years and are much happier together than we would have been years ago. It took a lot growing on both our parts, honestly. Hi. Lurker here. How did you sort your health out? I started going to therapy and picked up running. Once I had started to have some respect for myself, it was pretty easy to see the adjustments I needed to make in my diet and lifestyle. It took me a while to realize that I needed to fix my health for myself and my happiness rather than to fit in with societal standards. Running is literally amazing for changing body shape to the best it can be. Disagree. I ran 7-mile minimum daily for about 15 years on top of going to the gym and lifting. Lost 30 pounds when I switched to walking and less workouts. Every body is different, but I have many friends that did the endless cardio routine for years that are much smaller once they stop and start lifting. Honestly, I lost tons of weight just controlling what went into my face every day. Though I won't deny lifting is good. He was interested in having me in his life, and was interested in having sex. But he was afraid of commitment, and wasn't interested in being in a relationship. We were friends with benefits for about 5 months. And we had said I love yous to each other, and I told him I want a relationship. And he said no. We argued about it for about a month while still seeing each other and having said benefits. Eventually I told him I can't do this anymore. I told him it hurts too much to be around him and to beep him when he doesn't actually care about me enough to call me his girlfriend. I was about to break up. I told him it's gonna be a relationship or nothing at all. Looks like he made the right call, as we've been together nearly 6 years now. Got a cat last year, and will hopefully buy a house this year. I'm glad that worked out for you. I was in the same situation but let it drag on for nearly 5 years because I loved him so much. I just acted like we were dating and it felt like it except for the words themselves. I met his family and went on trips with him. We were exclusive. He just couldn't call it a relationship. When I finally gave the ultimatum, he agreed and said he loved me too. His childhood friend divorced her longtime husband later that month and he immediately ghosted me. 2 months later they became official and he posted about how much he loved her. If you know you know, and so on. Turns out he had just been in love with her for a decade and was using me as his everything else while secretly pining for her. Wow, this is horrible. Hope your dating life is in a different place now. What a jerk. I met him when I was about 21 and he was 27 and I immediately got the biggest crush. I tried to flirt but he ended up getting back with his ex and I moved on and dated someone else. Then 3 years later I saw him at a local bar and I went up to him and said hello. He hugged me. I melted. And we ended up talking all night. We had both broken up with our exes. I remember when I told him that I was single he couldn't stop smiling. We started texting and hanging out, then dating. Now we just had our 2-year. I remember screaming to my best friend in the bathroom at the bar, he's here, it's happening. I'm not one to have huge crushes at all, but I could never get him out of my mind. Now I get to wake up next to him. This makes me happy. Like something out of a movie. Well, in high school I was 200 pounds and I had this huge crush on one of the football players. Of course I knew because of how I looked I wouldn't get any type of attention from boys. But guess what? After high school I lost all the weight, started obviously maturing. And guess who came running along? Him. TBH. I feel like I only dated him just so I can be like you guys judged me all throughout high school. Now look at you. What happened to me being one of the guys and not someone to date? I'm the same person. Same personality. Just different body. Now that I lost the weight, all the guys who were my friends or who I thought were attractive started messaging me. Even the ones who are dating people I know. Undefined. Wow. Is it worth being with guys who care this much what you weigh? No, it's not worth it, and that's what I realized after I lost the weight. LOL. I'm glad. I hope you find what you want and deserve. 3. I had a crush on him in the beginning of junior year of high school. He was kind. And I had no guy friends. So I thought it meant something. But it turned out he was just a nice person. And he was pursuing someone else that he liked for years. I was respectful of this. Took my rejection in stride. And moved on. Months later in spring. He keeps starting conversations with me on social media and in person again, and we become very close that summer. Nervous because of what happened before. I ask him on a date. He says yes, and we've been together for 2.5 years now. Turns out after he rejected me, he really admired my maturity about the situation and realized that the girl he was chasing all these years was just playing with him and stringing him along. They were supposedly best friends. But after school ended for summer, she didn't talk to him at all, and it further cemented his decision to move on. He still cringes about it and tells me all the time that junior year was the worst year of his life because he should have been with me sooner. You got an audible awe from me when I read this. Very lovely. Haha, thank you. It's been the best feeling I could ever imagine watching him fall in love with me. I fell in love with him from the moment I saw him, but I was dating someone else at the time and thought it was just infatuation. 2 years later, we both got out of our respective relationships and became FWBs. He was way out of my league and literally everyone around him was in love with him, but I think I was the only one forward enough to actually tell him I wanted him. A year later, I asked him out for real but got rejected. Broke off the FWB arrangement but started again in a couple of months. It was a really confusing time. Broke it off again for real since I was heartbroken. Told him I needed to even stop being his friend because being around him was painful. It didn't help that college was residential for us and I saw him for every minute of every day. Completely stopped talking to him. And started focusing on myself and on getting over it. 2 months later he asked me out and told me that he was too scared of getting into a new relationship, so he said no, his ex cheated on him. But then not being with me was worse than taking a chance. We've been together for over 3 years now. I fell in love with him from the moment I saw him, but I was dating someone else at the time and thought it was just infatuation. This happened to me too. 10 years ago. We're married now and expecting our first child. Congratulations. That's so good to know. I've definitely posted this story before, but I like telling it. He was my first big teen crush. We were 15 and he moved to our country from Finland. I was an awkward emo kid and he was this angsty guitar playing metalhead. I was obsessed with him. He was in most of my classes and he never spoke. I would just watch him exist. He was so beautiful. Turns out he lived a few streets away from me. And we got friendly walking to and from school. Eventually I got the courage to ask him to be my boyfriend and he said yes. I couldn't believe it. We actually broke up after a month and one terribly awkward kiss because he wasn't ready for a relationship. He wasn't really into me. He just thought it was the normal thing to have a girlfriend. We grew apart. Had different friends groups. And lost touch. We had a mutual friend though. After I graduated university, I ended an awful relationship and moved back to my hometown. I got in touch with her and we spent a good few months catching up like old times. One drunken night she suggested we invite over my old crush. I had no idea what he'd been up to, and was so naive I thought my friend actually wanted to hook up with him. So I agreed. That night turned into a drunken hookup between me and him. He drove me home the next morning, kissed me goodbye and asked if I ever wanted to come round for dinner and a movie. It's been nearly 3 years to that night out, and we now own a house together and are engaged. Aw, this is lovely. How long was it before you saw him again? We fell out of touch at 16. Then we were 24 when we reunited. 27 now. It confuses people when we say we've been together 3 years, but have known each other for 11. It worked out rather well. We've matured as best we can and knew what we were looking for in a relationship.
Hey guys, if you like this video then smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more contents like this. And don't forget to press that bell icon to get notified for future videos. Thanks for watching. Click here to see more videos.